He had just buckled his seatbelt when two security officers stormed the aisle, eyes locked on him. No explanation, no warning. Within minutes, he was pulled from his seat and dragged off the plane like a criminal. The cabin went silent. No one asked why. No one intervened. Just the quiet, familiar sting of being black in the wrong place at the wrong time. But what the airline didn't know was who they had just humiliated, or what he could do with a single phone call. This wasn't just about a seat on a plane. It was about respect, power, and a $4 billion mistake. Watch till the end. You won't believe how this ends. Marcus Reynolds was no stranger to first-class lounges and red-eye flights. As the managing director of one of the nation's largest investment firms, air travel was just part of his job. Tall, poised, and dressed in a tailored suit, Marcus was a man who carried both authority and humility. He had built everything from the ground up, and with every boardroom win, he carried the weight of those who never got a seat at the table. That day, he boarded Flight 828 to Denver for a major conference where he'd represent a client group with over $4 billion invested in infrastructure, including airline partnerships. But to the crew that greeted him, none of that mattered. He felt it instantly, the subtle shift in tone, the polite but hollow eyes that scanned his boarding pass twice, the unnecessary ID check, the quiet doubt in their smiles. He was used to these moments, microaggressions dressed in professionalism, but he ignored it, as always, until the moment he was surrounded by security. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. The flight was half full, quiet, businesslike. Marcus was reviewing his notes, headphones in, when he noticed a flight attendant speaking with two airport security officers near the cockpit. Her glance toward him was brief but sharp. Then came the tap on his shoulder. "Sir, can you step off the plane with us?" No reason, no explanation. Confused, Marcus calmly replied that he had cleared security and had a valid boarding pass. But the officers didn't flinch. "We need to speak with you. Now." Other passengers watched, whispering. Phones stayed in pockets. No one stood up. As he grabbed his briefcase, one of the attendants whispered to another, "We had to be sure. He just didn't look the part." That was all Marcus needed to hear. Outside the cabin, they questioned him like a suspect. Was he really Marcus Reynolds? Was that ID real? Why had he been in first class? The implications hung in the air. Wealth and status didn't shield him from suspicion. His skin was the only thing they saw. After 30 minutes, they let him go. No apology, no compensation, just an awkward, "You can board another flight." The original had left without him. But Marcus wasn't angry. He was focused. Focused in a way that comes from years of swallowing injustice. As he sat in the lounge, he made a call. Not to a lawyer, but to a fellow board member overseeing the airline's investment fund. Calmly, he explained everything. There was silence on the other end. Then just one response. "We'll take care of it." Marcus didn't need to raise his voice. He didn't need to protest in the aisles. Because this time, he had something far more powerful than outrage. He had leverage. Billions of dollars worth. Within 48 hours, news broke. A major investment firm was pulling out of its partnership with the airline. The statement was brief, citing a pattern of unacceptable customer treatment inconsistent with our values. It didn't name Marcus. It didn't have to. The airline's stock dropped by 8% in a single day. Behind the scenes, panic erupted. Executives scrambled. Boardrooms filled with PR specialists and lawyers. They knew exactly what had triggered the storm, but they couldn't undo it. Marcus hadn't gone public. He didn't need to. The airline's CEO personally requested a meeting. Marcus declined. Instead, he issued a quiet memo to other stakeholders. "If respect isn't part of the culture, it doesn't belong in our portfolio." What the airline failed to understand that day was this. Racism doesn't
Marcus
always
never
come with
spoke to
slurs
the
and
media.
threats. He never
Sometimes
revealed
it's
his
a
name
quiet
publicly
decision to treat
in connection
someone
to the
as
incident.
less than.
He didn't need credit.
And sometimes
For
that
him,
decision
justice
cost
wasn't
you
about
$4 billion.
headlines. It was about making
Marcus
systems
didn't lose his seat
listen
that day.
when voices are
The
ignored.
airline lost something much
But his
bigger.
silence spoke
And now the
volumes.
world was watching.
In boardrooms across the country, conversations shifted. Airlines scrambled to update diversity policies. Employees were retrained, not because of a lawsuit or protest, but because power, when used wisely, can force change in silence. The flight attendant who made the initial complaint, gone. The security officers, reassigned pending review. But Marcus didn't ask for that either. He didn't want revenge. He wanted awareness. This story isn't rare. It's just rarely seen through the eyes of someone with influence. What about the millions who face this treatment daily, without access, without power, without a voice? That's the question we should all be asking. Because the problem isn't one airline, it's the quiet assumptions, the unchecked biases, the silence of bystanders. It's how quickly dignity can be taken and how slowly accountability arrives. So the next time you see injustice, will you stay seated? Or will you stand, speak, act? If this story moved you, share it, talk about it, call it out, because silence doesn't fix what courage is meant to confront.